We are back, and so is basketball. Say hello to DraftKings contributors Garion Thorne, Matt Meiselman, along with RotoWire's Nick Whalen. Fellas, very, very simple stuff here. We want your favorite DFS and Sportsbook plays on tonight's 7-game NBA slate.
All right, Nikola Jokic highlights the slate going up against Sacramento. He's going to cost you almost $2K more than the next available player. So, Garion, when you're looking at all these high-priced dudes here, like, who are you most confident in paying up for?
I mean, you can never go wrong with Jokic. I think we talked a lot about Devin Booker in the first segment. I think tonight is going to be one of the final nights for a while. You see him below 9K, so there's a buying window there. I also like Trae Young a lot. I mean, this is a game against the Bulls where we kept waiting and waiting and waiting, not only for, the Bulls' major offensive pieces with defensive question marks, but, losing Alex Caruso, losing Ball. How long would it take for us to see the defensive slippage? And it has definitely happened across the last 15 games. They're giving up over 116 points per 100 possessions in that span of time. They are also allowing the most opponent assists per 36 minutes of any Eastern Conference team within that span of time. It just seems like the perfect environment for someone like Trae Young, who's gone over 50 DraftKings points in 6 of his last 9 games. So there's a lot of very viable options up above 9K and even slightly below 9K if you want to include Booker, but I think Trae Young might actually be my favorite.
All right, who are you looking at, Matt?
Looking at Jokic, but I really don't think you can go wrong with any of these guys. I mean, Devin Booker for sure is the most underpriced. He's basically 8,800 for him kind of makes sense if Chris Paul were playing. Without Paul, like we talked about before, Booker's going to just have to do more for the offense. His assists are going to go up. His shot attempts probably go up. I think his efficiency probably drops a bit, but overall fantasy production has to go up for Booker. So if you can afford Jokic, I think it's Jokic, but my favorite guy in this range, I think, just has to be Booker. Yes, he's going to be chalk, so if you want to pivot to someone like Trae Young, I do think that's a good call. But I think the pricing is low enough on Booker to the point where you just say, this is the chalk that I'm going to play. I'll make a different choice elsewhere.
All right, Nick, who do you like paying up for?
Yeah, Booker's my guy, 8,800. But like Matt said, ownership's going to be high. I think everybody kind of knows what to expect, which we touched on the last NBA segment. I mean, DeMar DeRozan, the price is way up there at this point, $10,700. But last 8 games before the break, he was at 37.6 points, 5.6 rebounds, 5.8 assists, and 58% from the field. The usage rate, sky high. Players, when they get on a streak like that, he's got 8 straight games of at least 30 points. You tend to try to ride it out, see how long you can go. So I think he's going to come out firing on the other side of the break here. The Bulls do get Levine back. However, that worries me a little bit. But I think I'm still going to have some exposure to DeRozan in at least a few lineups. Jared Allen, not exactly somebody you're paying up for, but 7,600 for a guy who, the Cavs are not going to have their top 2 scoring guards in Garland and LeVert tonight. So I think 7,600 is a really good price for him as a building block. And then even Jason Tatum at 9,700, I do worry about blowout potential. And last time the Celtics played the Nets, I believe they got out to a 28-2 start in that game. This version of the Nets should be a little more competent, but might not be a night where Jason Tatum is playing 39 minutes.